Hello lovely people, Mr. X Stitch here, daily vlog. It's gone down to -2 degrees here, which in the UK is obviously a nearly fatal temperature drop. I always remember my first mother-in-law was Canadian, and they lived in a place called Orillia, which is about an hour north of Toronto. And it was the kind of place to get to like -30 and you had to plug your car engine in at night so it didn't freeze up and stuff. And it was just, it always used to make me laugh. She didn't like the British winters. I think we have a bit of dampness or something here that makes them a bit less pleasant. And I think once it gets past like -5 or -10 or something, it's just hella cold, you know? So that's why they get used to it. But anyway, -2, so I have this big long walk that I can do with the dog that you would have joined me on various parts of it. It just goes around these fields. It's not really that big, but a lot of the time the fields at the moment have been so waterlogged that you just can't get across them. It's just no point. It's just squelchy nightmare. Whereas on a day like today, it's kind of frozen squelchy nightmare. So it makes it kind of interesting because you get situations like this, you see, where normally I wouldn't want to walk through that. I mean, I've got good wellies and stuff, not a big deal, but now we can just crunch our way through, me and the doggy. So we're going a little loop, see how far we get. I enjoyed the feedback from the video yesterday where we were talking about the benefits of having level-headed partners and the joys of collaborating with them and stuff. And it was interesting to get some of your responses and understand that it is a bit of a mixed bag. And it's nice when you can work with your better half, isn't it? I think that there are times for collaboration, decorating your house and such like. Whoa, if you can see that. I'm always too heavy. The ice never never supports my weight. Crunch. That was a big bit. Sorry, just nearly fell in some ice. Yeah, I think it's always good to have, I don't know, sometimes you just need a bit of grounding, don't you? You need to not believe your own hype, and I think it's really difficult these days when you look around on the Instas and the whatnots and you see everybody else's perfect version of events and all the old insecurities flare up about how you're doing. I mean, I've been Mr. X Stitch for like 12 years. I do it for a living now. I'm hardly anything resembling a millionaire. I'm not even a 10,000aire. But I still get a bit insecure about the way people are doing things. I still see people who are doing such a stellar job. It makes me feel insecure. Someone, Sally, Caterpillar CrossFit, she's smashing it. She is smashing it. I look at everything she does on social media, her Instagram, the YouTube, everything. She is smashing it. I think she's, from my standpoint, I qualify my insecurities by knowing that I still have to look after my kids for a while. So, but I look at what she's doing, I'm just like, amazing. She's doing really well, and I think there are a lot of people that could learn a lot of lessons from Sally, to be honest. But yeah, it's always quite tricky to almost triangulate your own position from a success standpoint. And I know I've gone over that before, talking about how I feel about my achievements, my capacity and all those sorts of things. But at the end of the day, I've managed to turn something I love doing into something that I do for a living that gives me a great amount of freedom. And when that boils down to it, that's about as good as it can get. But I definitely remember times back in the day of just getting a bit carried away with myself, or, you know, first time you ever go on the telly and you start to let your ego run kind of amok. And I think it's, even if you're single, or I don't know, you just need to get somebody or some people, like a brain trust that you can just bounce ideas off of, and they'll tell you if you're being a knucklehead or if you're on the right track. I suppose what I'm saying in a way is that everybody needs a therapist, right? That would be good. And then it was quite exciting yesterday, I suppose, because news broke out that Tesla had invested $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, and that's it, the Bitcoin price racing, and I think it's still racing now. It's gone from, like, I don't know, the other day one Bitcoin was like $36,000, and now it's about $48,000 or something, which for a lot of people, not like me, not like newbie McNewbieson here, but for a lot of people who bought Bitcoin back in the day, have been holding on to it for dear life, there's a lot of people who'll be very happy with those kind of returns. I've actually made the decision that I was investing in a pension scheme with a company called Vanguard, who were like one of the best performing pension providers, or investment firms for that sort of thing out there. And I've decided I'm going to switch and just put my regular £100 a month into Bitcoin instead, because when I look at the future of everything, it seems to be the only logical currency to aim at. And I mean, even if it isn't the only currency we end up with, it's still a really sound investment, because it's just going to go up and up as the adoption increases, and things like Tesla buying shares in it will just open up other people's eyes to it. So I'm just going to switch to that, because in my measly pension pot with this one company, I've got like £1,700, and in the year and a half I've been doing it, I've earned £3. And in my pot that I've been putting into cryptocurrencies, bearing in mind there's a lot of volatility, and I'm not an idiot, but I've put in like, say I put the same amount of money in, I've probably made about £200. Even the most boring crypto products that are out there have inflation rates that surpass anything in the current banking system, because they're just providing using the currency as collateral for people to borrow and stuff like that. So I think I'm switching. I'm going to try and get a tiny bit ahead of the game. I feel behind the game for a lot of people, but I know I'm ahead of the game for a lot of other people. So I'm going to start putting my £100 a month into Bitcoin and other currencies. But Bitcoin being like the gold standard, Bitcoin being the solid, there's only 21 million of these, this is the money to rely on. All these other decentralized finance products I'm interested in, but don't know enough about to talk about while I'm walking the dog. All of those I'll dabble in and keep an eye on. But I think when it comes down to it, stick your money back in Bitcoin, ride the highs and lows, but know that, it's only really going to go up in the long term, isn't it? So yeah, that's my ramble for today. I will now keep crunching my way through the ice, walking the dog, and then go back and get on with some work. Oh, recording an episode of the podcast. Recording an episode of the Lovecraft Show today. That'll be exciting. Get our podcast back on and stuff. So if you haven't subscribed to the Lovecraft Show, find it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your favourite podcast platform and subscribe. It's a good show, and we're going to have some more interesting guests. We had a really interesting collection of guests last year, so some good listening if you need something to listen to while you're getting your craft on. All right, people, I love you guys. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.